But anyways, let's move into the final topic. And again, we want to thank Pat for giving us a great insight about the Chicago Bulls there. We also want to thank Jake for jumping on the Cavs one a little bit earlier. And again, if you want to be a part of the Fast Break Podcast, the Onside Kick, the Primetime Podcast, Rick and Johnny Podcast, or a Patreon podcast, which Christian did before, go over to patreon.com/mostofouspodcast, and you can donate at that $10 tier if you feel so inclined to. We'll have Will on next week, so we have another Patreon segment coming up. We're super excited for that. But let's jump into the final topic. This has been one that's been requested in the comments before, so we're people. We're podcasters of the people. Podcasters of the people. We can put that on a shirt. We like Buzz and Juice making up shirts on the spot. Podcasters of the people. But this has been requested in the comments. The Clippers, best fit for the Clippers in the 2018 NBA draft. This is a team that has 2 picks in the lotto right now. So they'll at least have the 13th and 14th pick, even if they lose out on the lotto. But so far they got the pick from Detroit in the Blake Griffin trade. Right now they're slotted at 12 and 13. So let's talk about the 12 and 13 slots right now. If they're in that range, what are the players that will fall to them or at least be available to select that you guys like on this Clippers team?
I think that you should go for a point guard right at this point because you could find yourself either in Collin Sexton or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander area. One of those 2 guys could walk right into this team, and you don't have that pressure after that because you still have Milos with an option. You have Pat Bev under contract. So I think you could really use another young point guard to build in behind those 2 guys. Very vet heavy. And then the second one, if you can find a big you like, that's the kind of thing because this draft is so top heavy with bigs. You find after you run out after like Wendell Carter, like you kind of hit this weird area where Robert Williams or Mitchell Robinson off potential might be the next guy up. So if you really like Mitchell Robinson and what he can do in the combine, maybe he works his way up there. Otherwise, I just think you need a guard and you need a big. You just pair them both and roll with it because this is a team that could be a playoff team.
And I mean, that's to me, I'm thinking the same thing. Where I know in my mock draft from last week, Collin Sexton with the first pick, Mitchell Robinson with that second one. And even like you said, if Collin Sexton's not there, fuck it, I'll reach and take Shai right there at the 12th overall pick. The thing that I think will be interesting, though, is depending on who you like, yeah, you could take the 5. You can also take Robert Williams with the 4. It's which big would you like? Do you want to go with a 5? Because DeAndre Jordan could be leaving. Of course, he's going to decline the opt to try to get more money. But if he doesn't come back, are you going to go with a 5 or are you going to go with a 4 with that next one?
Robert Williams at the 4?
Yeah.
I think he's more of a 5. Or the 5. I think he's more of a 5.
You can play him at whatever you want.
And are you sure Jordan was going to decline the options? The other thing, because it's $24 million, and this year there's not as much money to be thrown around. So I think he might. And that's one that could go either way.
Well, I mean, if he accepts the option, then I'm not looking for a guy who's going to play the 5. I'm going to look for a guy who's going to play the 4.
But why not? I mean, if Mitchell Robinson's on the board, and you've been high on him recently, if he's on the board, a guy that's coming out of high school, didn't play this year in college, he was signed to Western Kentucky, committed to Western Kentucky, and then pulled back, and then wanted to focus on the NBA draft. A guy who's pretty raw, who I really haven't seen in a higher competition. Why not take a guy like Mitchell Robinson at that 5 spot and then just be pretty much the predecessor for DeAndre?
Even if DeAndre stays?
Yeah, and he could be the predecessor for DeAndre, work under DeAndre, and at least not have a ton of pressure to come in immediately, work with an NBA team, work with that scouts. I mean, if you like the player, I mean, I don't think it's crazy to go with a Mitchell Robinson since you do have 2 picks there.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I look at if DeAndre Jordan stays with this Clipper team, the 4 then becomes the focal point because you traded Blake Griffin. Right now, the only 4 you have under contract is Montrezl Harrell. And I think what happens then for me is I take that guard. If I'm keeping both picks, we'll talk about that later. I take the guard with 12, and then at 13, it's, all right, if I'm going BPA, I'll go Mitchell Robinson. But then I start to think, all right, is there a 4 on the board I would take? And then it depends on how he does in the combine, how much he rises. John Tay could be someone that rises that high.
Real quick, I want to throw this out. Harrell, correct me if I'm wrong. To me, it says he only has 1 year left, so he's gonna be a free agent after this year.
So then you don't have.
He's an RFA.
Okay, he's an RFA.
Yeah.
But the thing is you do have a 4. Toby can play 4.
I mean,
Toby
he
rolled at
could.
the 4 for the majority of the year with them.
So
I mean,
your
are you
lineup-
confident though with him being like
Yes.
the 4 of the future, not the 4 for just next year?
Yeah, he's 25 years old.
The 4 of the future. I would go ahead and I would draft someone to play that 4 also. I wouldn't leave that alone with this draft.
Looking at the future lineup, at least with the players they have, it's going to be Pat Bev or Milos at the 1, depending on what you want to do. At the 2, it's going to be Lou Will. At the 3, it's going to be Danilo. 4 going to be Toby. And then if DeAndre picks up that option, it's going to be the 5. That lineup right there is pretty decent. So it's really who do you want for the future and who do you want to develop, in my mind, if DeAndre picks up that option. So then it's like you got to look at a future point guard because Milos hasn't been great, hasn't been healthy.
But he's also 30.
He's 31 years old.
I would
and
take
then
Collin
Pat Bev,
Sexton way over Milos.
Pat Bev's going to be 30. So that's the thing is you need a point guard for the future. And if I'm looking at it, I'm pretty confident in Tobias Harris being a future 4.
Yep.
Danilo is, if you don't like him, he still has 2 years and he's guaranteed a ton of money.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to move that contract. So I think the 3 and 4 starting wise is locked up. The 2 is locked up pretty much because Lou Will, I don't think you're going to put him on the bench unless he starts to slip a little bit. But even then, that contract's very player friendly. So I'm still looking at someone who can fill the role and fill the shoes of DeAndre Jordan once he leaves. And then obviously looking for the point guard of the future at Pat Bev and Milos. So I think those are the 2 positions that they got to look at. I'm not really looking at the 4 because I believe in Toby Harris. I think he's a really good starter in the NBA. I think he had a really underrated season, especially when he went over to the Clippers. So I think that's probably the biggest thing is I'm a big believer in Toby at the 4. So that's why I don't think they're looking at the 4. I would probably say you're either looking at the 3, the 2, or the 5. Point guard's gonna be number 1, and then I'd probably say 5. 3 and then 2 are the other positions you'd look at. I'm really thinking the 4 is pretty much fine. Need some depth there, but I don't know about a starter.
And this is one that I'm thinking about. And I only didn't have him go there because I was going with 1 and 5 when I went through my mock draft. But what would you think if the Clippers went Collin Sexton with that first pick or Shea? So point guard with that first pick, and then a guy like Lonnie Walker with that second one.
Lonnie Walker could be interesting. I think it depends a lot on a certain head coach and son relationship, how they go with it too. Honestly, like Austin Rivers has been a good player for the last couple of years on this Clippers team. Good, not great. Has he earned starter minutes? At times, yes. At times, no. And we've seen him get pulled back and forth. So if you think that he's the guy you're going to stick with, him pairing with Lou Williams, not a bad combo at the 2. Maybe not, because Lonnie Walker, to me, is more of a guy who has potential to develop. And I look at this team the way they're set right now, and I think that this is a team that's like 1 or 2 pieces away from competing in the playoffs. So the only thing that makes me question here is the one man controlling everything in West, and what strings are you pulling? Like, what direction are they going to go?
Well, and the fact that you bring up the playoffs, I mean, this was a team that finished 9th in the Western Conference and was very close to making the playoffs.
Missed, yeah.
So, sorry, 10th in the West because Nuggets were
Right.
9th. But again, still very close coming down to the last couple games. And again, Tobias Harris, when he came over to the Clippers, in the 32 games, shot 47% from the field, 41 from 3, 80% from the line, put up 19 points per game, 3.1 assists, 6 boards. He was really good out there. I mean, I really liked what Toby brought. So again, I'm not really looking at the 4. If Jonte's there, then hell, maybe, if you think he's BPA. But again, I think it goes back on Jerry West. And I think it's going to be reliant on, is he going to try to mold the Warriors again, pretty much? Is he going to try to build that up, or is he just going off of talent? If he's going to go off the Warriors, you're probably going to look at extraordinary guard play. And I think they have 2 good guards and 2 starter quality guards in Milos and Pat Bev at the 1. And then obviously I think we got a starter or at least a 6-man in Lou Will at that 2. But I don't know if they have the guards of the future. So I think the number 1 position, again, is the point guard position. And if I'm looking at a guy that could fit well in that spot, it's Collin Sexton to me at 12. If he's on the board, I don't think you can pass him up. I know people are a huge fan of Shea, a ton of length on his side, great defender, showed his scoring ability as well late in that season. And again, he was a leader on that Kentucky team and really came on late. He has that body that you really like. Again, 6'6", very athletic, could play the 1. Not a great passer yet, but also Collin Sexton isn't a dynamic passer. The big thing, though, is if I'm drafting, I want a leader. And Collin Sexton proved that he can be a leader. Some people say to an excessive point at some points, but still, I go back to that game in Brooklyn or wherever it was against Minnesota, 3-on-5, he absolutely balls out. I look at that SEC tournament, he comes out, he leads his team to victories in those games, and the ones he didn't, he was just outmatched against team-wise and coaching-wise against, I think they lost to Coach Cal, or did they lose to Auburn? Anyways, I think Bruce Pearl's a better head coach than Avery Johnson. I think Coach Cal is clearly a better coach than Avery Johnson when it comes to the college game. So that's the thing is I think Collin Sexton's a true leader, and I think they don't have a true leader yet, and you'd be drafting one with Collin Sexton at number 12. So I think that would be the number one attack from them. I think we all agree on that. Do you guys agree that Collin Sexton's a pick, though, or are you guys bigger fans of Shea for Los Angeles than
I would take
Collin Sexton?
Sexton over Gilgeous.
I'm leaning Shea right now purely because of, like you said, he's big. He's someone who can attack the basket. He's becoming a better passer. He's becoming a better shooter. Like, neither one of those are there yet, which is the thing that concerns me, because I think Collin Sexton could help you compete right now, and that's why I think you're convincing me to slide over to Sexton camp for this Clippers fit. I think Shea may end up being a better pro over time, but right now you got me. You got me on the Collin Sexton train for this Clippers team.
The one thing too, people don't really like is the inconsistency that Collin has from three. He's not a deadly shooter, but also you look at the team and the makeup they have. Lou Will's a great 3-point shooter. Danilo is a great shooter. Toby Harris is a great shooter. So right there you have three guys that he's going to be able to find and hit those open shots. And again, Collin Sexton might be serviceable from three, but if I'm drafting him to be my leader and my point guard, I'm going to want him to be able to distribute more and attack the bucket, which he's shown to be able to do. So that's what I really like from Collin Sexton. I think he fits with that team already. And if we're drafting for the future, Toby's going to be there, Lou Will's going to be there, and Danilo's going to be there for at least 2 more years while Collin's growing and developing.
Do you guys want to know something that's kind of eerily? I want to say eerily similar, but it's just eerie in general. So Jerry West is now the man running the show with the Clip Show.
Yes, he is.
Right.
He took over as the GM of the Warriors in 2011. They had the 11th overall pick that year. Guess who they took?
Klay Thompson.
Klay Thompson.
There's not a Klay Thompson.
There's not a Klay Thompson right here. But that boat, like, if I'm a Clippers fan, Jerry's going to pick the right guy here. He's going to find the right guy. And you look through, of course, the Draymond one was second overall, our second round pick. You had the 2012, the year after, their first rounder was a 7th overall. Got Harrison Barnes, who, he's not on the Warriors right now.
He was a good
contributor
he won a
for
ring.
that team.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I think is going to happen here, where if we're talking about the Clippers, they're going to make the best picks right here. They're just going to find the guys that, this is the guy, no matter what. Like, we could be talking reaches, like I mentioned, Jonte could be a reach here. But if that's the guy that Jerry West thinks is going to help this team,
he's not afraid to
make
the call.
That pick.
But also, are we taking Jerry West as Bible? Jerry West can't make a bad decision, so whatever Jerry West does is perfect.
I'm not saying.
I'm just saying.
Perfect,
but what you're saying though is like whatever Jerry does is going to be automatically the best. But that's what it just sounds like.
I don't think he has He doesn't have a terrible track record to me in the first round. His first round picks with the Warriors, Klay at 11. Then the next year he had Harrison Barnes at 7, Festus of Zealy at 30. Then 30th overall, Kevon Looney, and then at 30th overall, Damian Jones. Those were his first round picks with the Warriors.
When you're picking 30, it doesn't matter who you're taking.
Because
you won the championship.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think again, I'm not saying he doesn't have a great track record. He does. It's just really, and I think even was a big part of why KD was there too. So I mean, he was able to bring in a massive free agent there. But I think with the Clippers, you just have to realize what the positions of need are, and then also you got to take the best player available. I think you're getting that in Collin Sexton. If you're drafting a 12, Collin Sexton's available, you're getting the best player available, and he's fitting the position that you need to fill up. So I think Collin Sexton's an easy pick at 12 if he's available. And then at 13, I'm looking at a Robert Williams because, Danilo is a good scorer. Lou Will is a good scorer. You need some defensive help, though. And I know Robert Williams is, kind of undersized for the center position at 6'9", but this guy's super long, super athletic, and the best part about him is his defense. And Jake was talking off phone. When a guy is this good at defense, it's hard for him to bust because he's always going to be good at some part. And I think Robert Williams can step in and still be good defensively immediately. Kind of reminds me of a smaller Jared Allen from last year's draft in some ways. Obviously, Jared much bigger, 7'1", Robert Williams coming in at 6'9". But I think Robert Williams does bring a different tenacity than Jared Allen did. So I think that Robert Williams could be a really nice pick there for the Clippers, especially at that 5 spot and then at that 13th overall pick. So I think if I'm Jerry West, I'm the logo, I'm rebuilding the team. I'm probably going Collin Sexton and Robert Williams if those two are available.
However,
to fill my position.
I'm going to jump the gun here, and I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on before Sean tells me I can. Here's a scenario that's playing out in my head. Draft goes along, pick. Bulls get up. Michael Porter Jr. All right, Mikal Bridges is on the board. Do I call the Kings? No. The Kings, being true King fashion, mess it up and don't take Mikal Bridges. They take like the next Papagiannis or whoever they want to take at 6. If Mikal Bridges...
7, you mean?
Yeah, at 7. If Mikal Bridges is there at 8 and I'm Jerry West, I pick up the phone and I'm going, hey, Cleveland, you don't think LeBron's going to stay? I'll give you 2 picks and I'll go up and take... Like, that's what I'm thinking. If a Mikal Bridges, who I think is similar skill sets to a Klay Thompson, to where, can score from outside, but can also lock down maybe the first scoring option, why not Jerry West? Hey, I only had 1 first-rounder my first year with the Warriors. Get that similar guy. And a Cavs team who might be like, holy shit, LeBron might leave. 2 players is better than 1 in the first round.
Where's he playing, though?
Where's Mikal playing?
Yes.
He could play
off
at
the bench.
well, he'd be coming off the bench, but you could play him at either the 2 would be preferred, but you can slide him at the 3 if needed.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm just wondering because
floor.
I'm just saying because they just signed their 2 and 3 for long-term extensions.
But I mean,
or they just signed Danilo and they just
But I
re-upped
mean, where Lou Will is more of, to me, like the offensive guy, Mikal's more the defensive guy,
who happens to have a pretty good shot. So I could see them going that route. I'm at a loss for where this team is direction-wise. Like, are they a team that's going to compete for a playoff shot? Or is this a team where this is step 1 of his reload was moving Blake, and he's not done making moves?
Well, what other moves are there to make?
I mean, you can still
Because Avery Bradley, I'm going to throw this out. Avery Bradley is a free agent as well, so they could possibly bring him back as well.
Yeah, Avery Bradley is still potential.
He's going to be off the books, so we're not going to talk that he's on the team.
Right, but I just think that maybe Danilo and that contract can be moved. Maybe you do look into something where
21 mil for a guy with that much and injury history. I don't know if a lot of people are going to be knocking on the Danilo Gallinari.
You bring up Danilo. I'm going to just throw out this trade to throw it out there. Danilo and both first rounders for Kawhi.
No.
They say no.
Hell no.
Contracts just
Because they match up.
contract's
The
not
contracts match up.
No, but it's not the contracts. It's the
It's
value.
stuck with.
It's the value. I mean, like,
hey, if you're the Spurs and what's going on with Kawhi, you get 2 first rounders in the close to the top 10 in the lottery. Who knows what they're going to be after the lottery?
we also don't know what's going on with Kawhi.
Oh, I know.
I mean,
but
like,
I'm just saying right now, if I'm the Spurs, I would at least listen to that offer.
Health-wise,
if I'm thinking about getting rid of Kawhi.
We don't know what's going on with Kawhi. And if I'm the Spurs, I'm not taking that. Because I think there's probably better offers than Danilo Gallinari at 2 firsts. And especially those are it's
2 lottery first.
2 lottery first, but also they're back end lotteries.
Yeah.
And again, this is a fairly rich draft. But I don't know if you're making that trade for the 12 and 13 and Danilo Gallinari, you have to know who you're taking and be sold on both of those guys because you're trading Kawhi Leonard, probably the best 2-way player in the NBA when healthy, for 2 guys that could possibly bust out. I feel like I need more of a for sure thing or a higher pick to really sell that on. And then maybe, hey, the Clippers, the Spurs flip that and then move up to get the guy that they want. But I don't know about that. And then also on the Cavs thing, if the Cavs are picking at 8, they're either having Trae Young on the board or Mo Bamba on the board. And if LeBron's staying, then if LeBron's staying, then you need Mo Bamba to be that 5. And then also if LeBron's leaving and Trae Young's there, you possibly have a future star.
Like we talked about earlier. Let's say, hypothetically, they lose to the Pacers. Oh, my God, LeBron's leaving. Oh, we need a point guard and a center. Cavs, you can get that at 11. You can get Collin Sexton and Mitchell Robinson and get both of those players at 11, 12.
It's a lot of what ifs.
While we can move up.
Yeah, let's deal with what we know right now because, again, that's a lot of what ifs right there. Dave, looking at that, I mean, if they're not getting the 12 and 13, and let's say they get a top 10 pick and they're still sitting at 13, or let's say they somehow win the lottery at some point. What prospects do you think fit this Clipper team? And are there any players just outside of the ones that we mentioned so far that you really like for this Clipper team?
I mean, honestly, I think there's a couple of guys who would be interesting if they fell to the Clippers. Like I look at someone. Honestly, like Kevin Knox is a guy who is falling on some people's boards. I have him a little later than most, but like. Still, if he's available for you, that wouldn't be a bad move. I think that really, when you start looking at the contracts, like you said, Sean, like they're pretty locked in with a group of guys for the next couple of years. But at no point should they feel like they're locked into this guy's. That's their championship run because, like you said, Toby's 25, DeAndre's 29, and we don't know his long-term potential. So we'll see if he's going to stay on the team. I think if you go after someone like Kevin Knox, who has a ton of potential, if you compare him and Mitchell Robinson, you can have just the two guys who have the body for the NBA, and you can hope to build them up with that training staff and get them into top-tier shape. Honestly, the one guy I would really love if fell to him would be like a Wendell Carter. If he's available for them, or if he starts falling and maybe he's there at like 10, 11, you start licking your lips a little bit, because that's a guy who I think would be an awesome add to this team.
Why do you think he's a good fit for the Clippers?
He does a little bit of everything very well. He is an excellent rim protector. He keeps the ball moving on offense, and he is someone who is pretty efficient at shooting. So I think like all around, he's one of the best packages at center who is NBA ready right now. Like obviously, there's higher upside with someone like Bamba. There's higher upside with just a couple of these guys like Ayton and Bagley maybe, but at the end of the day, like Wendell Carter is a guy who's not going to screw you over and screw up your franchise, because you can plug and play him and be confident in his contributions.
One of those things where it's a high floor, but probably a lower ceiling.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Well, and I mean, you look at Wendell Carter, I know for the Primetime podcast when we did our big board, where for Brandon, he jumped into the top 5. And Brandon was even, I've said it before, pointing out that game that Duke had in the tournament where it's like Wendell Carter was off the floor, and it's like, this team doesn't look so good with Bagley out there. And then Carter comes back in. It's like, okay, this team looks good again. That was the game they lost against Kansas that happened. I mean, the thing is, we all have Wendell Carter in the top 10. Is he going to fall out, or is he now solidified as a top 10 pick? I think that's the question that it would be with Wendell Carter.
Yeah, and the one thing, too, I just want to throw this out there because I know some people jump on me. I said if the Clippers win the draft lottery, that would be the Clippers pick, because Detroit
owns the one.
It's protected 1 to 4.
Yeah.
So they'll have to win with a 13th pick rather than the 12. So it's going to be a large long shot for them to be drafting that high. But again, we got to throw that out there, because anything can happen on the draft lottery. Frozen letters or frozen balls, whatever. But let's talk about the ability to trade, because you have 2 picks. You've mentioned it before. You mentioned the Cavs. You mentioned Kawhi Leonard, Ricky. 12 and 13. You're going to have some capital to possibly move up. If I'm the Clippers, I'll throw this out there and then we can go to Dave, then Ricky jump in. If I'm the Clippers, I'm not moving up. I'm not moving back. I'm sitting at 12 and 13, and I'm taking 2 players. I think with this Clipper team, with the veterans that you have, and if DeAndre comes back, you have the ability to make a postseason run next year, and then you're also getting 2 players that still have very high ceilings, have a lot of potential, and Collin Sexton and Robert Williams. I'll throw those 2 out there because those are the ones I mentioned earlier. You have 2 players that can be starters on your team for the next 10 years or whatever, how long you're going to have them on their team. I think those 2 guys have starter potential. I think Collin Sexton has star potential. I think that is a really nice get for Blake Griffin, because then if you're looking back at that trade, you're getting Avery Bradley, you're getting Tobias Harris, you're getting Collin Sexton for Blake Griffin, and you're dumping all that cap, which gives you the capital to possibly go out and get a Paul George if he doesn't want to go to the Lakers, or get a big free agent in the next coming years. So I really think that if the Clippers are able to snag a guy like Collin Sexton and then have the ability to add a future 5 in Robert Williams, I think that would be a beautiful move and take all of that pieces from Blake and turn it into the future of the Clippers. I don't think they should move the 12 and 13 to move up, or even trade the 12 or 13 to move back, or trade one of those picks and move back. Stay at 12 and 13, take them, and get guys for the future and some kind of cornerstones or centerpieces for that future team in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, because let's be honest, there is a joke about draft science to like the NBA to football. Like it is a luck kind of thing, because honestly, there's no way to say 100% guarantee this guy is going to hit at the next level.
Yeah.
There's no 100% answer to that. So if you have 2 chances in the top 14, take your shot there, because you probably will be better off with 2 chances at a guy who could hit than 1 chance just because there's a better percentage that you think he can hit. Like, I'm never all in on a player. Like, there's bust potential for every single guy in this draft. So I just go to the point where 2 players, both, like you said, if they could land with Robert Williams, I think that seems like the staple pick to kind of shore up their down low post action. And then if they get either point guard available there, like you said, they're set for the future. The problem is that we're transitioning off of this older team to a younger core. And that's where I'm kind of like, if they move some picks, that could be interesting. But I don't think the value's there this year. I think that this year's draft has some really high potential guys in that range.
I will say, Dave gave us a great topic idea of guys we're all in on. all in on for the NBA draft. So where we can bet our cars if we have them
Yeah,
on
you
prospects,
got another car?
not
You
busting.
already lost that.
Or we
Yeah.
could have guys like when we call Jaylen Brown a bust. All three of us a bust. We call him all a bust.
Call him a bust?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Even before he was
Let's be
drafted,
completely
we all
honest.
called him a bust. And obviously he's showing us off. So congrats, Jaylen Brown, to Celtics fans. But Ricky, if you are Jerry West, because I mean you resemble him so much when you guys are dribbling basketballs on the court.
Thanks.
If you were Jerry West, what are you doing? Are you trading? Are you entertaining offers? Or are you just closing off the phone lines?
I'm entertaining. And the thing is, I'm going to sit here and be like, I'm going to think about the picks because right now it's a combination of guys. Collin Sexton, Mitchell Robinson, Collin Sexton, Jonte Porter. Do I go with if a Miles Bridges falls, do I go Miles Bridges and a Shai Gilgeous? Or even a Kyrie Thomas? Because to me, think about it. Okay. To me, Kyrie Thomas in this draft is almost kind of like, to me, the poor man's
Mitchell.
No. Okay. The poor man's Mikal Bridges, where I feel like, yes, I would rather have Mikal, but if I'm lower in the draft, I'll take Kyrie. He's going to do similar things that I want Mikal to do. The two trades that I would make right now is if Mikal falls to 8 at the Cavaliers, I would look to move those picks to get Mikal Bridges, to get that 3-and-D guy locked down, kind of like what you did with Klay Thompson.
What do you think the deal is?
With
12 and 13 for 8 straight up?
It's never,
I feel like that
that
would be
easy.
No.
Yeah.
It's never that easy, but that's the core of my deal. I'm not going to go conspiracy with that. The only other deal I would entertain would be, and I know this is huge speculation, tinfoil hat, but it is, depending on how this Kawhi thing plays out with the San Antonio Spurs, the Spurs moving up, getting 2 picks. Yeah, you might. How it would work is, all right, Pop, you're going to get this headache off your hands in Kawhi Leonard. Well, more importantly, his uncle, because I think that's the major part of the headache. It's not Kawhi, it's his uncle right now, who they're even saying has been in talks with someone related to Kyrie. I read into it like feeding the ego a little bit of the uncle maybe who's his agent. But it's like, you get this headache off your hands. We're going to give you 2 first-round lottery picks. Mm-hmm. The only bad thing is you got to take on Danilo Gallinari to make the salaries work. And if the Spurs, that could be a conversation for a different day, whether the Spurs do that. But if I'm the Spurs, I heavily think about it because I get 2 first-round picks and I get to wipe my hands clean of this Kawhi thing. And if I'm the Clippers, I do it all day because I add Kawhi. Kawhi equal those 2 picks. I would take Kawhi over them any day.
Okay. I'm going to throw one out. I'm going to throw a trade out. All right? I don't know how this is going to work, if this is going to work, but this is playing off your Cavaliers one. Because I don't think the Spurs is going to happen. I think that's a complete long shot.
Yeah, like I said, tinfoil hat.
Yeah, you're just throwing it out there. This one works in the trade machine. It would be the 8th pick and Tristan Thompson for 12, 13, Boban, Pat Bev, and Sam Decker. Because you get Tristan off the books.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly. Like, the thing is you have to get Tristan. I think if you're able to get Tristan going to the Clippers,
that's how you get the Cavs' interest.
I think that exactly, because you're going to give them 2 young players that they'll have contract control over, and you'll be able to take cap relief off them.
The thing I need to know is DeAndre Jordan accepting his option or not?
I have no idea.
Because if he's accepting that option, I don't know if I want to take on TT.
I mean, it depends on. Yes,
I would be like, and I know this is getting greedy. I know the Cavs would never do it.
You're probably going to have to match contracts. So let's throw that out there, because then DeAndre will have 1 year left. I think at like 22 mil, and then Tristan
24.
I think 24, and I think Tristan will have 2 years for 16.
If I was, and I'm going to throw this out, see if it works straight up, and I don't know if this would be a great trade.
There's not a lot that works. I think the only one that works straight up is Toby.
Yeah,
and you don't want to give up Toby.
No.
Wait a second. The trade that I'm thinking about has to involve Tobias Harris, but I'm not getting TT.
Can't do it.
I'm getting K-Love. I'm trying to get that guy who can play. Yeah, he's listed as center, but I would move K-Love back to the 4 and have him and DeAndre Jordan. If DeAndre Jordan moves on, then welcome that TT in because I need a center. But if DeAndre Jordan stays, I don't know if I want to trade for TT.
I see the fit. I just think that right now Toby is the better player for the Clippers. Like, K-Love is still a very good player and probably one of the best rebounding fours and a good shooter from the outside, but he hasn't been that dominant role in so long. I worry about giving him the reins again to be like the number one on a team.
Also
I got
hasn't
it.
been healthy.
I got it, guys. It all works out. You want to do the pick straight up? You don't have to. You do the pick straight up, plus Larry Nance comes to the Clippers, Sam Decker goes to the Cavs.
But my whole thing is that the Cavs want to get TT off the books.
Yep.
No, yeah.
So that's the only reason
But
why I
as the
think you're going to entice
Clippers,
them.
I don't know if I would want to do that. So that's maybe where that would fall for me.
That's why I just say take two players. You have cap control. You'll be able to control these guys.
Entertaining offers. Not
So if they
looking
land
to-
if your magic happens and they magically get the Cavs at 8, what do they go with?
If they get the Clippers get the 8 pick.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough one.
That's the problem.
Well, I mean, that's possible Trae Young range. That's probably the last place that he can go because we've been mocking him 5 to 8, 5 to 9.
That would be a nice pick for.
It'd be interesting. I mean,
Clippers.
if he's so damn comparable to Steph Curry, I mean, you get your Steph Curry, Jerry West,
right there.
You obviously talk about Mikal Bridges, but I don't know if I'm trading up. I don't. No offense to Mikal Bridges, I think he's gonna be a really good player. But I don't know if I want to take Mikal as a centerpiece.
I would say
That's the thing.
trade up for Trae Young. Maybe I'm not thinking about it because for me he's a top 5 pick, and I don't think he falls past 6 with the Bulls. But the thing where if you're trading up for Trae Young there, the thing I look to is what did we say at the beginning of the year? And Dave, I think, was the most high on him with Milos was the how he's going to get this offense going with his passing and his assist numbers. Well, to me, Trae Young's a lot younger than Milos.
That is true.
About a decade and a little
one of
bit
the
more.
things that
12
I
years,
harped on
I think.
earlier in this podcast was how he facilitates. I would make that move to trade up with the Cavs if Trae Young was there.
But
no doubt.
You need a team around him. So it's like I think
You
the thing
do.
is,
You have
I
a
think-
team that was
I
You
think
still
just
have.
out of the playoffs.
Again, it depends on the trade though. If you're getting rid of Toby, then you're getting rid of the team at some
'cause
point.
it's-
No.
No, it's the one taking on TT's salary.
yeah.
Okay, but let's just. But I think if you're trading up to that 8 spot, there has to be a future star. So if
Like a Trae Young or
Young
Michael Porter Jr.
if Trae Young's
Those are the
there,
two guys
if
I would
Michael Porter Jr. is there, or I know Dave will hate this,
Mohamed Bamba.
if Mo Bamba's there, because yes, I know Mikal Bridges, Mikal Bridges,
Jeff Bridges.
and Miles Bridges are probably more of a safer pick there. Again, you're talking about guys who could be future stars. We believe that Porter Jr. has the possibility to be one if he's healthy. Trae Young, again, if he is able to overcome his size and play a little bit of defense, he has the potential to be a star. And then Mo Bamba, I understand that he's very, 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 very raw, but you can't teach 7'6" wingspans, 7'1" height, and his ability to block shots like he did. And we were comparing his stats to Joel Embiid's stats in college, and I know completely different players. You have to have the same work ethic as Joe to improve your shot and to beef up like that. But Mohamed Bamba had better stats than Joel Embiid coming out of college, per 40 and regular season. So just throwing it out there, you have a future star, the potential to be a star. Let me say that. The potential to be a star
I'll agree
in
with
Mo
that.
Bamba.
Quick question.
Yes.
If, let's
Final
say,
question, we're gonna
like
wrap it
Dave
up.
said, let's say you like a Wendell Carter and you want to draft him.
Yes.
If he is there at 10, do you try to work a deal with the 76ers where you're trading one of your picks to swap with them at 10
But that
to try to get Wendell Carter?
yeah, then you have to give up some other capital, which is going to be another
I
another
don't-
future pick, and I don't think
'cause
they'll
I
do
don't
that.
think any of us have
I
him
don't even think
falling
the
out.
Sixers want more picks at this point.
Yeah.
Well,
They're so pick
it'd be a
heavy.
pick swap.
No, but Sean mentioned future
But why would
picks
you do
to
10 for
sweeten the
12?
deal.
Like that's the thing is why would you
Yeah.
10 for 12? You got to throw something else.
Yeah.
The Sixers.
Maybe it would, for me, it'd be players. It'd be moving around players.
Yeah, it's
I don't
just
know
hard
how
to find
that
a good
works.
fit for that. I don't know. I think that there's a lot of guys that are there. It just depends on what direction this franchise goes in at the end of the day.
I think ultimately 12-13, you're taking Collin Sexton, you're taking Robert Williams. That is what I personally think will happen. If Miles Bridges falls there, Collin Sexton, Miles Bridges. If somehow Mo Bamba has fallen there, because you had him, what, 11?
I hate Bamba at times, but yes, I admit that his potential is.
Did you have him at
incredibly
11
high.
or 12, though, last mock draft? Because if he's at 12, holy shit, am I not missing
Yeah, I had
out
him
on
at 12.
taking... Yeah, holy shit, am I not missing Collin Sexton and Mo Bamba? Like, again, you might not like it, but... again, if he's at 12,
I totally
that
agree.
potential is
I think
unpassable.
its potential deserves to be a top 10 pick. What if something stupid happens and the Heart's like, so we've got a Kemba Walker and you've got a couple picks.
No.
Walking away from that?
That's the thing is, what he's going to be an expiring contract. You're going to have to pay him. I love Kemba Walker.
I'll just take Collin Sexton 11.
Thank you. Like, again, Kemba Walker. I love Kemba Walker. I'm going to be the first person to sing his praise.
Now
sing his
it's
praises.
contract control.
But it's contract control, it's age, and then it's also you're giving up on those two players then.
Now, if the Hornets
you
were
got to
at 7
change
or
this
8,
youth. You got to bring in a youth. You got to bring some youth in here. What's that?
If the Hornets were at 7 or 8, then we'd have a discussion.
Maybe.
Really? Two players difference.
I'm still very steadfast, and I'm not thinking that much about trade. I'm thinking
the only reason is
95% of me is saying keep the picks.
The only reason is there's a gap between 8 and 11. There's no gap between 11 and 12 to where it's like, hey, you know what? We know you got Kemba Walker. You're not going to take Collin Sexton. Whatever. Do what you want.
That's the thing is like 8 is pretty much the edge of the stars. That's where you have the shot as a Trae Young, Michael Porter Jr. So I think that's where the difference is. Again, I'm still very steadfast on keep the fucking picks. So
yeah, I think we all kind of trust Jerry West to walk away with 2 picks, and they'll both be pretty good players.
Ricky, thoughts?
With me,
what's the final thing?
I'm taking Collin Sexton, and I'm going to go with hoping Jonte Porter shows up at the combine so that he rises and I can take him and have that 4 to go with DeAndre Jordan.
I don't know about the 4 thing. I don't know about. I think Tobias Harris. The camera's off, but I'm looking at you right now.
Yep.
I think you're a great 4.
Are you looking right into Tobias' soul?
Don't listen to Ricky Widmer. I think you're a beautiful 4, and I would love to have you on my team.
He used to be on the Orlando Magic, right?
And he used to be on the Detroit Pistons. Yep. So there we go. We're going to wrap it up there. Tell us what you think the Clippers should do down in the comments below. If you're listening on iTunes, don't forget to rate us on 5 stars. We need your support. We appreciate your support. We love it. We've had an influx of subs, over I think 800 over the past 30 days. If you are just joining us, thank you so much on YouTube. We appreciate it. Don't forget to like the like button. If you're a Clipper fan, don't forget to hit that subscribe button because we're going to be doing recaps on picks. We'll be doing live coverage of the NBA draft, so definitely make sure you want to stay tuned through that. And also, we got a ton of build-up until June 21st, so definitely stick around. Also, check out the website. Ricky did a 7-round mock draft because he's insane. Go check it out, mostvaluablepodcast.com. And we also had 2 patrons on this podcast, Jake and Pat. If you want to be a patron, go to patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. We got the $1 tier, the $2 tier, the $5 tier, the $10 tier. It's awesome, baby. It's
also,
crazy.
The one thing I'm going to add, because I forgot to tell you, is if you're a Graphic Conversation fan, you can get every episode a week early if you're a patron.
Every episode.
What a deal.
Any level, Ricky?
Yeah, any level.
So if I pay $1, I'm getting a free audio Patreon podcast monthly and free access to the Graphic Conversation.
You're getting it free like you would usually, and you get it a week before everyone else.
Get the fuck out of here.
The first one just dropped today.
Insane. Go check it out, patreon.com.
I like how you're standing up and no one can see it.
I'm pumped. Because we're going to go get food. So, for Dave Oster, for Ricky Widmer, I'm Sean Anderson, the Collin Sexton dick sucker. We'll see you next time. I don't know why I said that.
Leave it in there.
Leave it in there.
Leave it in there.
Fuck it. We'll do it live.
There you go.